Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. 245 passengers on a Washington, D.C. bound United Airlines flight from Lagos were on Friday lucky to escape what would have been a major air disaster. This followed a series of technical malfunctions which forced the crew to abort the operation and return to Lagos Airport for an emergency landing. We're now being joined for a chat on the call for enhanced safety and standards in global aviation by Professor Obiora Okonkwo, Chairman, United Nigeria Airlines, and spokesman, Airline Operators of Nigeria. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us this early Sunday morning.
Well, thank you for having me here still. This is actually my first time of being here at Lagos today.
Oh, really? Yeah, fantastic.
I'm a regular visitor to the Abuja studio.
Yeah, we've always had you on the show, and I thought, you
always from Abuja.
Yeah,
welcome.
Great.
Yes,
welcome, and thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And it's great to have someone in your caliber come to discuss this very, very tragic incident that occurred over the weekend on Friday. As you heard in my introduction, 245 passengers were on board. I believe, there were several injured in that turbulent incident that occurred, on the way to, I believe, Washington, D.C., and the aircraft had to make a U-turn. But one of the questions a lot of people have been asking now is that many heard about this incident, I believe about 16 hours after it occurred. I mean, I don't know what it says to the Nigerian flying public, because, I mean, if this were to have happened to a Nigerian airline like yours, United Airlines, or even Air Peace, a lot of people would have called for maybe, the sack of the head of the NCAA or the sack of the Minister of Aviation. We would have been seeing a lot of videos flying around here and there. I mean, what does it say? What does it speak to at this point? I'd like for you to address that. I want to start up with that in a manner where, because you are an owner of an airline, I don't want to start with airline safety and all of that, because it can happen to anybody. I'd like to talk to the Nigerian flying public at this point.
Yes, thank you very much. It's really good that you raised such concern. First of all, I have to clear the fact that we're talking about United Airlines and not United Nigeria Airlines.
I like that.
Yeah, so
United
that has to be
Airlines.
clear.
It's American, not Nigerian.
Because we also got some messages, for some miscommunication. Yes, that's a very clear fact. Also, again, we, the Airline Operators of Nigeria, empathize with United Airlines. It's really something that is unfortunate, and we thank God that it was not worse than that. Like you rightly said, without dwelling into it, this is what happens. Well, I wouldn't know the reason why it took such a long time, but I had followed the trends and communications and the exchanges, and I'm impressed with the reporting, especially Arise TV, which we consider the #1 aviation TV station in Nigeria. We have had a lot of bashings from our passengers internally, especially when it has to do with domestic airlines. And sometimes we wonder why. When things are reported on aviation, they are unethical. Everything about aviation has its own rules. It's about safety. But here, sometimes we wonder why there is such level of malice, such level of hate, and sometimes what some people try to even call envy, and something that could just easily be seen as an industry issue is taken personal. They will start attacking the owners of the airline. They will start attacking the regulators. They start attacking the minister, even sometimes ignorantly. We have seen that everything is provided for in aviation. Look at when that airline touched ground in Nigeria. FAN was there on ground to do what they were supposed to do. It's an international commendation. And I wish to take this opportunity also to commend the minister and his team. It wouldn't have been done differently, because in other countries, if we don't have able, fan, on-ground handling, maybe the evacuation would have taken a longer time and there would be more incidents than recorded. So for why Nigerians do that to us, I really don't know. But I only pray that since we're in the new year, 2025, they should extend such understanding that we have noticed in this last incident, which is what is expected. But you cannot depart from situations like this. In aviation, you do 95% everything to eliminate human error. 5% is in the hands of God. But you see, everything is already taken care of. Look at each time you enter the aircraft, before you're about to take off, the first thing is safety information. And they will remind you, it doesn't matter how long and how often you've been traveling. Listen to this, refresh your mind. That means they are prepared for anything. And by the time, if you go to any airport in the world, you see fire trucks stationed there permanently. It doesn't catch fire every day, but it's just in preparation, and anything could happen anytime. So, but aviation remains the safest way to travel all over the world. So we can't just be discouraged with what happened. I commend the team that were able to take down the aircraft on ground despite whatever challenges. And we hope that when the investigation is concluded, then they will make public what would have been the cause of that incident. But so far, everyone who was involved from the ground to this, from the crew up, they require some commendation. Nigerian aviation has really developed under the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, and his whole able team. We're very happy and proud of what they're doing.
All right, Professor Okonkwo, I would like you to talk a bit more on that Friday's incident. I know we will talk about other things,
yes,
but it is important given the fact that, yes, the authorities have said that they are investigating,
yes,
and you have also reiterated, what they have said. But then given the fact that this same aircraft, this particular aircraft of Friday, had already previously on Tuesday been diverted, on its way to Washington, and it was in the news. It was diverted after just 89 minutes, on air. The same aircraft, 3 days after, now had this issue after barely 1.5 hours, still within West Africa. After that 1.5 hours, I think it spent, from the reports, about 4 hours, on air trying to land. 3 sharp descents, and we saw the video.
We saw the videos.
I mean, as an industry expert, as an airline owner, as a passenger, even for your good self, you can imagine the fear and the trauma and the confusion that people will have gone through. But I'm saying that it just didn't happen out of nowhere. The same aircraft, 3 days earlier, had a slightly lesser issue that led to it being diverted. Do you think that somebody dropped the ball along the line at some point, either from the point of our authorities or from the point of the checks that were meant to be carried out by the airline operators? It looked to me like there was an indication before that Friday incident that, thankfully it could have been, worse than that.
I don't really think so. It is normal in the industry.
It is normal.
The initial sign, which was detected on the other leg, the crew, the pilots, the captain, they did what they had to do. It was diverted. And what would have happened at that point of diversion is that the engineering crew would have looked at the fault that was flagged by the captain and his crew. They would have rectified it. It must have been done by somebody who is capable, certified, and qualified to do so. Because in any of those incidents, it must have been entered into the logbook. And before the captain, don't forget he loves to live too. He wants to be alive.
Yeah.
Before he would take off to the next journey, somebody would have signed off that this aircraft is serviceable and is good to go. That must have been the reason he took off from wherever that other incident was flagged. So it's not out of place that along the line, such a thing might reoccur. And when that happened, obviously this probably was a little bit more out of control. And because there are crew who are capable and trained in the SOPs or what to do in such situations, and obviously with great God's intervention, they landed safely. That should be our concern now. Every other thing should be speculative, but it's not out of place. Nobody has done. I mean, United is a legacy carrier, and I know that they have people who take safety very, very seriously, and the industry is highly regulated. So I doubt if there was any negligence. You know, these things are equipment. Anything could go out of place. Just like you, sometimes you are broadcasting here, you say, oh, I'm sorry, something had just happened. Yeah, it could just happen. You know, and I believe that because they were prepared for it, that is why the casualties or the outcome is within this manageable level, yeah.
Yeah, thank God they were prepared for it because, 245 passengers, it could have really ended horribly. And like you rightfully said, there are some of these things that can be avoided, and that's brought up the conversation about emerging threats in the aviation technology. Recent reports have pointed out new technological threats such as GPS jamming, spoofing, and even what happened on this flight as serious risks to navigation and flight safety. As a leader in the aviation sector yourself, how do you think airlines and regulators can stay ahead of this rapidly developing threats? Are there any particularly, let's say, technological advancements or innovations that you believe that the industry should prioritize to try and mitigate this risk and ensure safer skies? I mean, you gave the example of us being in the studio and there's a technical glitch. When that happens, we're still here, we're on land, but when something like that happens, we saw the videos, it was really scary, seeing people, Christians, Muslims, everybody praying, and just the damage that was done. How can we minimize that?
It must have been very traumatizing for those passengers. Some people by nature, just hearing, they have phobia for traveling. Talk less of now being inside that aircraft, and there is an incident, they would have died, and now they are risen again. I can understand. But however, aviation is one all over the world. And the safety in aviation is regulated by ICAO. So the standards and adaptation to new technologies and equipment to aid safety in aviation is standardized. If there are new technologies that must have to be adapted or included in any operational situation, then and if it has to be a rule for all over the world, then it must have to be. You must have to meet that rule for you to fly that aircraft. And actually in some climes, they also have their different standards, that if you don't have this equipment in your aircraft, you don't fly into our airspace. So if you have to fly, you need to upgrade to that standard. So I do not think that it's a matter of choice. It's a matter of compliance. And if you don't comply within that standard available for safety, whether it is technology or anything, that aircraft will not leave the ground. I can assure you that, you don't see such a thing in any industry. It's not what you do the way you want to do. And our local regulatory NSA, I've always said over and over again, they're one of the toughest all over the world because we relate and interact with different parts of the world.
You're an industry insider.
Yes.
And we've heard that about 4 people were seriously injured in this incident. I think about 2, and as well as 2 crew members, totaling 6 people, serious injury. And this aircraft, I believe, the incident happened while they were on the airspace of Ivory Coast, I believe that was the... Can you tell us what you have heard so far? I know that NCA is saying that they are investigating the incident, but we've been hearing reports about rumors of, even this GPS jamming, whether or not the plane was, not paying attention to the command at the moment. I mean, we've also heard the issues of these Boeing aircrafts. Can you tell us if you have heard anything so far? Because you are an industry insider.
No, honestly speaking, this is a very sensitive and technical issue. Yeah. And any speculation around this might not be the best thing to do. But we know that this investigation is not on the stable of NCA, because this aircraft is not a registered aircraft in NCA, in Nigerian jurisdiction. No, that investigation has to be done by FAA. If they need any help from Nigerian NCA, obviously they should collaborate, because this is done international. But however, if the aircraft lost control, there must have been malfunction of the navigation system. That means if you want to go this way, it's going that way, and you also might miss wherever you are going. That could be a very serious, issue.
Absolutely.
And then, if we're talking about 6 people that are seriously injured, it is really magical. Yeah. Because if for anything that the crew lost the control of that aircraft, or if they had gone deep into the Atlantic Ocean, they may not even be able to come back to ground. So in all of this, for that number of people, out of that number of passengers, it is still a great thing to give God the glory. But you see, no matter what the issue is, it remains the safest. If you're on ground, you could see a little incident in one type of vehicle or the other, the whole passengers are gone. Yeah. But I'm assuring the Nigerian passengers that the ground support that was given to that aircraft met all the international standards. Yeah. Otherwise, we would have had the outcry out there in the foreign media. Okay. So that is the reason why they should not take this incident to appreciate how much we have advanced in our Nigerian aviation, but in regulation, and even the environment the operators do operate. We need commendation instead of condemnation, even where the situation does not apply. Nigerian aviation, we just came back from Dublin conference, where the toast of the aviation world. The minister led a delegation, and then, everybody now is like, wow, is truly a revolution going on? Because you have new breed of operators who are compliant in everything, but in their books, in the safety and the financials. We have airlines from here already forming national airlines of different countries. The king of the air peace is now the national airline of Antigua. Can you believe that? Flying in all those parts of the world? Yeah. And very soon now, they will become again the national airline of one of the West African countries. One of the smallest operators in Nigeria is giving a great support to National Airline of Sierra Leone. These are the things we have been achieved, but yet internally here, some people chose to undermine us. And the means of doing that, I don't know whose purpose they serve, but things that are being done here are great, and we are those who understand aviation, know the difficulties and what they have to go through. I mean, we are heroes when we come face to face with those people.
I totally agree with you, Prof, that Nigerian local carriers deserve, a lot of applause, given, the giant strides, at least of the last, few years. Your good self, Air Peace, a few other ones. But 2 things from me, and first from the safety and committed readiness, on the one part, given what happened globally in December, with all the flurry of accidents from South Korea to Kazakhstan to Azerbaijan, to Brazil, to Canada, different issues all over December. People were scared all through Christmas, almost all through New Year. Now we have these that happen on Friday, which is just like a shock thing to Nigerians. Did everything, or should we say that, what lessons have Nigerian Airlines learned from all those things, that even in advanced countries, there could be issues, there could be fatalities? Are we prepared? Are we taking a second look at our overall, safety standards? That's one. And then, talking about what we're doing locally. It's good to talk Lagos, London, Lagos, Canada, Lagos, India, Dubai, everything. But then locally, part of what we witnessed, especially all through the second part of last year, was the issue of high cost of traveling locally. What is responsible? Is that what Nigerians will still go through, especially at a time that many of the local airports are not functioning? And I should commend you especially for the intervention that you gave to the Nigerian Guild of Editors in November, when we had our ANEC, All Nigerians Editors Conference in Yenegua, Bayelsa. United used to be the only one that was flying that local airport. But then at the time that we were preparing, nobody was flying. We had to make a deal with your airline, special consideration. So thank you for that. But then that speaks to the point that you have governors building local airports, but then after 6 months, after 1 year, 2 years, it becomes unviable, like it did to United apparently. What does this say to the state of Nigerian aviation, locally here?
Thank you. Nigerian aviation, in terms of safety, is one of the best in the world. Everything in aviation, number one, number two, number three, is about safety. You have the highest number of ICAO certified operators in Nigeria than most part of the world. As at today, we have about 5. The king of the AAPs has just gone through the 7th. They just received the 7th certificate of ICAO. As young as we are, it will be 4 years in February. We've just had the 2nd certificate of ICAO, which nobody, the day we were being presented with this certificate for the first time, IATA said, no country has ever done this in 2 years. United Nigeria had that certification. Having the second one is also another confirmation that we take safety first. Now, for that to be done, we need Nigerian traveling public that certain incidents that delay when it is on technical issue, we must not compromise. If there is any single pararam notified by the captain, it's not those days operators will make a phone call, I want you to fly, no matter what, we want to make money. We don't interfere. The aircraft must be on ground. Now look at, if this aircraft were to be in Nigeria, and you said, we have scheduled to fly by 3 o'clock, but we've noticed something that has to be rectified, and this aircraft is on ground, the engineers have to fly in from wherever they are to do 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and we're telling people, stay, is for safety. They will not hear. They say, you fly us, fly us, fly us.
You want to combine flights.
You want to, why? This, one of the lessons. The lesson should not be only to the operators.
For the passengers as well.
95% of the lesson we want to go to the Nigerian passengers. That safety is the key. Now, for whatever has happened, those people did not travel. They have to stay here. And for United to take them to their destination until that, I don't know how soon that aircraft will be made serviceable. Otherwise, they have to ferry another aircraft from wherever their partner carrier to come into Nigeria. So, and what would they do? They have to wait patiently wherever they are until that evacuation arrangement is completed. But locally here, they will not wait. They will fight. They will post video, see what then they do us as if it was done intentionally. That's not. So I think the biggest lesson now, that's why I continue to say Arise is #1 aviation station in Nigeria. I've said that all over. And I'm sure one day on we'll come together and give you an award for it. Taking out this segment to talk about this means a lot to the operators. I'm telling you, the lesson should be to the traveling public. Nigerians, domestic. When the airlines say, for technical issue, for operational reason, stay quietly.
Or even for weather reasons.
Do you even know they fight for weather reasons? When you tell them you can't go from Abuja to Owerri because weather in Owerri is bad, but you have aircraft going to Benin because Benin weather is good, they will say, "Now so when they talk. If you don't go to Owerri, Benin must not leave." Why do you go to Benin when you can't go? But these are two different locations. So some of the things we face at the end of the year, actually, we came to a conclusion that the biggest challenge we have amongst all the humongous challenges are the travelers.
That's your conclusion.
The passenger, that's our conclusion, because for what we went through during the year, look at, we make so much sacrifices to keep Nigerian population flying. Towards the end of the year, we understand the dynamics, a lot of movements and all that. We make plans for additional aircraft. We put in extra staff to make sure that we meet the challenges. When you finish all these arrangements, some people coming from America, where they know there are delays, coming from overseas, get to the airport, they want to get to their destination, if you tell them there is weather change, they start fighting. Now, so now they do here. Somebody was there at the arrival at one of the airports and was waiting for his luggage to come out. And it's not the operators that manage the luggage. Just little mini delay. I was on that flight, I was waiting. You see, I'm Tinubu government. Now, so they rule Nigeria. For somebody arrive here, luggage never come. What has Tinubu got to do with luggage? They blame everything on that. So, but you see, we are hoping that they will learn a lesson that everything about aviation is not how soon you get there, but how safe you arrive to your destination.
I love that. How
safe you arrive to your destination. And we don't compromise. NCA do not compromise. This is not a case you say manage it and do it later. Sometimes when there is, whether it's an error from the reading of the crew, there's something that is happening here. Imagine that you have your engineering base in Lagos and you have a crew that flew to Owerri. If there is even a wrong button pressed in the cockpit that is showing some sign, you have to ground that aircraft until you fly your engineering team to Owerri. If there is no flight, sometimes you have to fly empty aircraft to drop 2 engineers in that location. It's a lot of sacrifice. So safety.
Right.
And then good behavior is required. Then on the issue of Bielsa, different states build airports for different reasons. They could build that not because it's viable, but that's the only gateway into their own state. It happens. Even no matter how much you see what is going on in the Western world, there are some areas in Europe, in America, that still subsidize flights into their airport because they want the passengers. And when the passengers come in, they do expenses that help the government to recover the money. In terms of cost of flight, no matter what you thought you paid for during the Christmas, it was still within a kind of low fare. Because if you're going to Enugu, for instance, you have one-way traffic to Enugu. If you have a full, we have 737-800, 189 passengers.
It was up to 400,000 return to Enugu.
Even at that, 189 passengers, 100% to Enugu. A 189 passenger aircraft returns to Lagos with 3 passengers. It's the same cost of going, operating cost, and the same operating cost of coming. So if I charge you only for that one way, then I have to come back at a loss. And when tomorrow you can operate, they say, "Na so then they do. This one don't fall again." But if you have to charge what it should be, obviously. Now is low season.
Yes.
What you do that period is what sustains you. Because that aircraft that you had 189 going, today might carry 50. Would I say I won't fly because there are 50 passengers? That's the way it happens.
All right. Yeah. As we begin to wrap, I must commend you. I mean, I'm sitting down here listening to you, and you keep saying, King of the airspace. What do you call it? King of the airspace. That's airspace. Yes. And you are united.
Yes.
You also are
United
Nigeria, an airline owner. But we've seen you guys, you and Dr. Allen Onyema together. There's no sort of rancor. How do you do it? Is it because you are from Anambra State, or you're from the same state, or what is in it for you both?
No, because we are like minds.
Okay.
And then there's no envy. We support each other. We compete healthily. It's healthy competition. Yeah. Right. And then, so I think we benefit more from that. And I don't think that I encourage people to do that. Actually, when we came into the industry, there were attempts by people to lock our horns.
Really?
But because we are like-minded, they became disappointed. So, and that actually has really contributed a lot to the growth of domestic industry. Remember, when we were fighting the team that were trying to lead Nigeria into a dungeon by suggesting national carrier. I don't know. I had you mention national carrier here. Somebody in this? It's none. Okay, that's fine. So, it's really something that is again our domestic carriers. Yes. With what the minister has done in the last 1 year, I'm telling you that you should expect a big boom from 2025.
He's celebrating Festus Keyamo.
He's worthy of celebration.
He's worthy of celebration.
And also using this opportunity to congratulate the newly confirmed DG of NCA. Though before now I wasn't calling him acting DG, because I know for all he had done within that short time, and his confirmation. But thank God Mr. President has just done that. I congratulate him. It's a wonderful team. We, the operators, feel that we're now in paradise. I can tell you that. And then so that when next I come back to say something is going wrong, so you take me very seriously. But today we are happy.
Well, Professor Obiora Okonkwo, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. I know that I wish we had a lot of time. I know that you're also going to be running for Anambra governorship election. We'll have to bring you back on the show to discuss that.
I'll be happy to be back.
Yes.
and to be governor.
Do I like to be? Is it I like it?
He's gone in for governorship. I'm telling you guys right now. You heard me right now. You heard it here on Arise News.
Oh yeah, it's announced. That's actually the first public announcement.
Okay.
But I'm back here formally.
You have to promise us your first exclusive.
Oh well, you got it.
Very well. Thank you so much, and thank you for enlightening us on this whole incident with United Airlines. United Nigeria. United. This whole incident, and I know that NCA has assured the flying public that they are going to investigate this incident, and we hope to see the end of this incident.
Yes.
And
Yes, they will
hopefully
investigate with collaboration.
With
of
collaboration.
FA.
They
Yes.
have assured us, and
That's
we're
right.
waiting for that report.
Yes.
Professor Obiora Okonkwo, thank you very much for joining us on the morning show.
Thank
this
you
morning.
for having me.
Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you
So
so
I
much
hope I
indeed.
walk over to the other side to have my breakfast. Since this is the headquarters.
It's on the house. We're up to the task.
Because I can say a
Always
restaurant. Yeah.
Well, all right. Have a good
All right.
morning. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
indeed.
Yeah.